Well, first of all, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. It is Thanksgiving Day, and I'm looking forward to family, food, and football. Even though I said it last night, I don't have tons of confidence in these matchups tonight. I think there's probably going to be some lame matchups today here. We've obviously got the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. That's probably the best matchup of the day if I had an idea. Then we've got the Cowboys and the Giants, which is gross, but there could be plenty of fantasy upside, actually. On a low-key note, there could actually be some good fantasy upside. And at the same time, then we've got the Miami Dolphins and the Green Bay Packers. And I think that one's going to be a little bit lame. To be completely honest, I think that one's going to be a little bit lame. I think there's going to be better games, on Sunday. And I think the Black Friday game isn't that great either. So I guess we'll just have to see what happens today. But just enjoy today. Enjoy family. Enjoy football. And we're going to get through some questions. Definitely did not get on here as early as I wanted to. I had a couple errands to run, helping the wife out, make some good mac and cheese. So definitely worth it. But we're here a little bit late, so we're going to have to speed through questions right now. And I know alerts did not go off this morning, so we'll see what kind of questions we could get up and going. But I just kind of wanted to reiterate something really quick. When it comes to my thoughts on Malik Nabers today. I think Malik Nabers is going to have the most upside that he's had since early in September. I think today he actually does have a decent amount of upside in this game. So I'm excited to see what Malik Nabers does, to be honest with you guys. And I think that, like I said last night on the live stream, I think Drew Lock is the best quarterback he'll play with all season. I really believe that. So I'm excited to see how it goes, and we'll just have to wait and see how things go today. We're going to get through some questions, though. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, by the way. Ollie, what's going on? Is Jamo going to have one of those 4 catches, 90 yards, 1 touchdown type game? Very, very possible. I will say this. I definitely told a decent amount of people last night on the live stream to play somebody else over Jamo. And listen, it's not that I think that the Bears are going to totally affect the Lions game plan here in 30 minutes. I just kind of think that, the matchup is not the Bears are really strong against wide receivers. And I think there's better options out there this week. Now, I will say this, like I said, the good thing, with Jameson is that actually his last 2 weeks, he's actually gotten to 6 targets per game type of deal. 5, 6, 7 targets since he returned from the suspension. So there's definitely a possibility that he has a really strong game today. And it ultimately kind of just depends on what your other options are. That's what I would say. Nick Morris, what's going on? Flex Nabers, Cook, and Brown. So I'm assuming we're just going to flex one. I really like Nabers this week, but not over Cook. Definitely not over Cook. James Cook is my pick. Guys, I think James Cook is going to have a really strong week. If you look at the weather report for that Bills and 49ers game, Bills, 49ers weather forecast. I know it's an 80% chance of snow. Okay, get out of here with that. Upper 20s, 8-mile-an-hour wind, so that's not that bad, but a 43% chance of snowing through Sunday evening. I read last night it was 80% chance that it would snow at some point. So to me, what this says is it's going to be a James Cook game. I really truly believe that James Cook will be dominant in this game. I think it's going to be a James Cook type of game. So for me personally, I just think that James Cook is in great position. And I like Malik Nabers a lot today. I've been talking about it. I do think Malik Nabers will have a pretty solid game today. And the possibility, I think his ceiling is actually high. That he could hit it, but at the same time, with James Cook, I just think that game script in a snowy game, I think back to last year when they played the Dallas Cowboys in a snowy game, and when I was watching that game, it was so clear and obvious that James Cook was the guy, and that was his best game than he played all year. I think it's a James Cook type of game. Adam is meta. What's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Happy Thanksgiving. Right back at you, Adam. Burrow versus Herbert. Well, Burrow, I think Burrow's the play. Because with Herbert, I do have serious concerns. Like, J.K. Dobbins, I think, was more important to the offense than people realize. What happened when J.K. Dobbins left the lineup last week? Well, their offense was completely out of balance. And they were trying to rely on Herbert more, but the problem is Herbert is great. We all know that Herbert is a great player. Well, the problem with that is he doesn't have the weapons. Unless he throws Ladd McConkey literally every play, every other option is like cross your fingers. Like, it's just, dude, it is just not good, the options that are in Los Angeles right now. It's like, I can't rely on him, even though the matchup versus the Falcons is theoretically strong. Whereas with Burrow, like, he's playing lights out. And the fact of the matter is that the team needs him to be like that. That's the only way they could generate offense. Now, the Steelers are really strong against the run. So I don't think they're going to have success running the ball, much like they haven't all year. And I also think that there's a really strong possibility that Burrow is, like, I think there's a very strong possibility that they end up putting a good amount of points on the Steelers. I think it's very, very possible. So for me personally, I think that Burrow's going to be a good play. The only thing that could affect this, let's check the weather in that game. Steelers, Bengals, weather forecast. It's in Pittsburgh. Oh, no, is it in Cincinnati? No, it is in Cincinnati, yeah. 28 degrees, 30% chance of rain. So if it's 28, it'll be snowing. That's the only thing that can possibly affect this game is the snow. $30 degrees Fahrenheit, 13% chance of precipitation. So it could be a snowy / sleety game in Cincinnati. I just trust Burrow in that kind of weather. I'll go with Burrow over Herbert. Appreciate the super chat. All right, next up we had the Professor. What's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Full PPR start one. Tyreek, D-Hop, or Terry. Must-win week. Yeah, I think in your situation, Terry's the answer. Because let's just add a couple things up. First of all, Terry McLaurin has been way more consistent than I would actually say Tyreek's been consistent, but his ceiling is not as high. Like, you take out week one, Tyreek's ceiling has been about 16 fantasy points. In week 11, he had a 15-point game against the Las Vegas Raiders. But since that week one game, he has not eclipsed 20 points in fantasy. His ceiling is just not that high. And I've said it, I said it all this week. I said it last night a bunch on the live stream. I think that matchup with the Green Bay Packers tonight is going to crush the Dolphins. I think it will. Because they are not good in cold weather like that. And it's going to be brutally cold tonight in Green Bay. It's like 20-degree weather with like an 18-degree wind chill. Like, that's brutal weather, and the Dolphins and Tua are bad in that kind of weather. So for me personally, like, when you look at Terry on the other hand, Terry has done nothing but consistent work. And he gets Tennessee this week, who is not like the greatest matchup, but like, it doesn't really matter what matchup's been. Like, even against the Steelers, he had a 100-plus yard game. Like, his numbers have just simply been more consistent than Tyreek's and just more ceiling attached to them. So D-Hop, on the other hand, is way less consistent than both of them. And I would say he's got the ceiling of a Terry, but against the Raiders in a matchup that I don't particularly love. Because the Raiders take this game so seriously, man. This is their Super Bowl. So I don't like D-Hop. Terry is the answer for me, especially in a must-win game where you need to get guaranteed points, Terry is an avenue for guaranteed 12-plus points in fantasy. So Terry makes the most sense to me. Appreciate the super chat. That is how you get your question answered. Immediately is to go ahead and send a super chat. You do jump the line by doing that. Juan Urbino, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Need a flex and a wide receiver. Hopkins, Nick Westbrook-Akine, or Wan'Dale Robinson. Also, flex spot, Swift or Njoku, and any of the previous mentioned. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Okay, Hopkins, Nick Westbrook-Akine, or Wan'Dale. I'm going to go with... Dude, it's so crazy. I was talking about this last night. With Nick Westbrook-Akine, what he's doing right now is like almost unheard. Like it's a ridiculous run that he's on. This guy, the past 7 games, 6 touchdowns. In his last 7 games, he's had a touchdown in 6 of them. And he's getting targeted no more than 6 times a game. Like it's unreal. And like even when he gets targeted 6 times, like he's coming out with like 2 or 3 catches. It's unheard of, honestly. So I had this like natural, distaste in starting Nick Westbrook-Akine this week because of that. Like it's so unheard of what he's doing right now. Hopkins, I'd probably play Hopkins over Nick Westbrook-Akine. Although I do think it will be a run-heavy game. Or close. Because the problem with D-Hop is, like, since that Tampa game, he's basically been getting the same amount of work. Nick Westbrook-Akine has just been better. I'll probably go I think I changed my mind. I think I'd go Nick Westbrook-Akine over D-Hop. And then Wan'Dale today. I think that Wan'Dale is a... So let's put it this way. I'll put Nick Westbrook-Akine in the flex. And I will put D-Hop in at wide receiver over Wan'Dale because I think I like his potential of getting a touchdown this week against the Raiders because the Raiders' defense is atrocious. And then flex spot Swift or Njoku or Wan'Dale. Who's your tight end? I want to know who your tight end is because to me, Njoku is an automatic lock at the tight end position. Yeah, man, I don't know. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. I would say that's a really close one. Let me think. I think that Njoku makes a lot of sense because of the Denver matchup doesn't really worry me. And again, like last week with Njoku, the problem was not that he was like some irrelevant bum. Well, he was a bum. He dropped an easy touchdown. That was the problem. He dropped a very easy touchdown. So, like, I just don't worry about him too much, to be honest with you. Taysom is starting at tight end. Okay, gotcha. I would play him over Swift, and I think I would play him over Wan'Dale. Yeah, I'll go with Njoku at the flex. Njoku with the flex, I'll go D-Hop, and I will go with Nick Westbrook-Akine as well. Appreciate the super chat. All right, next up we have Connor Calderwood. What's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Pitts or Kraft at tight end? Gotta go with Kraft tonight. Yeah, I think that the Packers are so good for this type of weather that it makes me feel good, right? Like, it makes me feel good about the Packers in a weather game like this tonight. Where, again, last night, like, when I saw was that the Packers and the Dolphins are in like 20-degree weather. It's going to be freaking cold. Thank you, hon. Yeah, Packers and Dolphins are in really cold weather. Let's look. Drop below freezing by game time, could go as low as 19 degrees by the evening. Steady winds of 10 to 15 miles an hour. Yeah, it's going to be a really brutally chilly game. It doesn't look like there's snow. 3% chance. Yeah, it's not going to be a snowy type of game. It's just going to be a cold game, which the Packers are well suited for being in Green Bay. Like, that's what they practice in. That's what they play in every year at this time of the year. They're equipped for this weather. Pitts, to me, like, it's almost the same thing as like going with Tucker Kraft. Like, they're both like boomer bust players. So to me, it's like the same exact thing, to be honest with you. I'll go with Kraft. Appreciate the super chat. Eber De La Hoya, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Half PPR, Tracy Jr. or Ladd at flex. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Tracy or Ladd. I really like Tracy this week, to be honest with you. Cowboys matchup is awesome. And I do really think that, like, with Drew Lock at quarterback, everybody's upside in New York is so much better. Like, it's so much better. It's not even close. Yeah, I think that the upside this week for Tracy is higher. Because Ladd, like, the problem with him is that, like, if you look at Ladd's game log, he's clearly the best wide receiver in Los Angeles. Like, nobody's having that debate. The debate I'm interested in having with him is that if you look, like, his upside is obviously going to be based on targets because he's a wide receiver. But when you look at the targets, he hasn't had one game with more than 9 targets, and it's not going to happen because he's playing through an injury right now. Like, that's the ultimate problem with Ladd, is that he's not healthy. The guy's not healthy right now. So I think Tracy's a good option. But what I'll say is this. Make sure, guys, especially on a day like today, make sure that you are taking out your players who are playing today and tomorrow and putting them in RB slots, in wide receiver slots, in tight end slots, because you don't want them clogging up your roster when we've got more practice time for people playing on Sunday. We've got 4 games over the next, 24 hours, and you don't want those players who are playing today or tomorrow to clog up your flex. So put them in put Tracy in your running back slot, and whoever has a Sunday or Monday game, put them in the flex. Appreciate the super chat. Mr. Miggy, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. DJ or Terry cutting it close? I'd go with Terry, to be honest with you. The reason I'm going with Terry is because he's been more consistent. And he's, like, they have the same level of upside, and Terry's matchup is 10 times better. Like, I get it. Like, if you just look at, like, numbers, the Lions are a more forgiving defense to fantasy wide receivers than the Titans are, which is who Terry's playing this week. However, I just think about it from a deeper perspective with Caleb today. Like, the Lions are smothering teams right now. They're like blowing out teams. Like no other team consistently is doing this year. It's pretty ridiculous what they're doing. They're ruthless. Those guys are freaking ruthless over there, man. So, like, I think about it like this. Like, I think they're going to get after Caleb in a bad way this week. I think they're going to treat him like garbage. Like, I think they're going to be in his backfield all day today. And I think that's going to affect, like, how much he can get it to Caleb. To be honest. Like, I really do. So I think about it from that perspective. And I also, like I said, think about it from the perspective of Terry, even in bad matchups, has been ultra consistent this year. So I don't really worry about it too much. So I'll go with Terry over DJ Moore. Appreciate the super chat. All right, next up we had Tyler Sperry. What's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Thoughts on Achane and Sanders or Gonzalez? So if you haven't seen the kicker rankings video, go back and watch it after the live stream. I got Gonzalez over Sanders for sure. I think we talked about that last night too. And yeah, I think that with Zane Gonzalez, the matchup versus Tennessee, like I like that matchup quite a bit because, you know, the good thing about the Commanders, like their offense has been so suited for a good fantasy kicker all year. And also, when I think about this matchup, I've been saying this all year. The Tennessee Titans actually have a good defense. They do. The problem with the Titans is, you know, that their offense has been horrific for the majority of the year. So they don't provide much like alleviation for their defense when it comes to like taking them off the field for a long time. I think Jason Sanders and the rest of the Dolphins are going to struggle, man. Like this actually, I've been bagging on Tua this week because of the bad weather, but this goes back past Tua. Like the Dolphins historically as a team are bad in cold weather games. Like they're a warm weather team. They play their games in Miami, Florida. Like you ever been to Miami? It's freaking humid all the time there. It's always humid. So like they're just not suited for this type of game. Now the one thing about Achane that I'll say is he's the one guy I view as insulated from that tonight. Because when you look at Achane and the way that he gets his fantasy points, it comes from all different directions. Like Achane, that one game that they got brutalized by the Bills in week 2 this year, he had 26 fantasy points in a half PPR format. Like he was unbelievable. And I said it like I got burned by it just a month ago when I said that he would play bad against the Bills again, and he was even better the second time around. So I just think that like his upside is so insulated because of Devon Achane, the player. And even in an inefficient game, like he's going to find a way to be good. So like I'm still good with Achane personally as a running back this week in fantasy. I just can't see a world where I'm benching Achane this week. He's the only player though that I don't think is going to be like he's the only player I view as insulated from this weather. That's the only thing I can say. Appreciate the super chat. French fries, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. All right, let's find your question. Can decide between Lions and Broncos defense. Also, Bucky or London for flex. Happy Thanksgiving, brother. To you as well. Lions and Broncos, they're both great. I mean, they're both fantastic options. I like the Lions just a little bit better because of the heater that they're on. Like, and the Broncos are on a heater themselves too, but the Broncos aren't blowing teams out like the Lions are. And the Lions are doing it against everybody. Like good opponents, weak opponents. Like they're crushing team spirits on a weekly basis. And this is also a narrative game for me. Because if you look at the Lions under Dan Campbell, well, guess what? They haven't won on Thanksgiving yet. Remember last year, like I remember watching that game with the Lions and Packers last year, and the Packers had been pretty mid and inconsistent the majority of the first half of the year, and then they came out on Thanksgiving, and they kind of throttled the Lions last year on Thanksgiving. And it was like, wow, that came as a massive shock. Well, it turns out the Packers ended up being a good team. The Bears, like, even though they've been playing better football, they're not as good with they're not as good as the Packers were last year. Like that's not the same. Those are not equals. They're not equals. I think that the Broncos are going to be great as well. Obviously, they play the Browns, who are guaranteed to give up a a turnover per game, at least. But I'll go with the Lions just because of the way they're steamrolling teams right now. Appreciate the super chat. Adrian Mitchell, what's going on? Oh, no. Hold on. You had Bucky or London for flex. I'd go London. Very, very narrowly, I will add. I think Bucky will be a good play. I think he will be. Again, it's weird. Like, I've told a lot of people the same thing with Bucky. Is that I like him over a lot of options, but, like, the options I've been presented over the last, like, 12 hours or so, like, I personally prefer the other options. Because, like, I think about it, and Bucky, again, like, Rachaad White's just not going away, guys. Like, that's the problem. Now, I understand this as well. Like, London's problem is he's not been as good lately. But I just think in a game where they're going to struggle to run, that London will be a good play. So I'll go London over Bucky. It's a relatively close one, I'll say. Appreciate the super chat. Adrian Mitchell, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Adrian Michael, that is. 10-team, half PPR, 1 quarterback. Mayfield, Love, 2 wide receivers. Puka, Nabers, DK, 2 running backs. Mixon, Gibbs, CMC, 1 flex, tight end, Njoku, Taysom. 2 kicker league. That's interesting. Koo and McLaughlin. Scoop up right. Yeah, I would scoop up right and play him over Younghoe Koo. Yeah, I would. Just in case y'all don't know, Matthew Wright, I think he kicked with, didn't he kick with the 49ers this year? If I'm remembering correctly. Matthew Wright kicked with the... I think he kicked with the 49ers for 1 game. So Matthew Wright gets signed to the Chiefs because Spencer Schrader is probably not going to play. So yeah, I would pick him up and play him over Koo. That being said, I don't think Koo's a bad play this week. I really don't. Like, Koo's about, like, middle end of my kickers this week. Just to let you guys know. Let's see. So 1 quarterback between Mayfield and Love. I would go with Mayfield this week, and I'm personally doing that exact move in a Dynasty League. I have both Baker Mayfield and Jordan Love in a Dynasty League, and I opted to go with Baker. Because it's not that I'm worried about weather tonight. The fear that I have with Jordan Love is since this injury, like, it seems like they've really made an effort and a commitment to being a run-first team. And listen, it's working out for them, right? Like, Josh Jacobs is playing dominant football right now. So they kind of don't need Love to be much more than a game manager right now. Unfortunate as that it sounds, because Love has the potential to go freaking nuclear, like, any week. He could easily go nuclear. The problem is that they're not wanting him to do that, I think, because he's injured. So I've gone with Baker because I like the matchup as well, too. Puka, Nabers, DK. Puka, and, oh, man, that's tougher than I think. I'll probably end up flexing DK, and I'm going to go with Nabers. Put Nabers in your wide receiver spot today, along with Puka. And I'm going to go with Gibbs and Mixon at running back, and I'll play DK over Christian McCaffrey. That matchup that matchup Sunday night for McCaffrey is already not good against the Bills. And that team is having the season from hell. And on top of that, like, the biggest problem with McCaffrey last week was that Trent Williams, their star left tackle, Hall of Fame first ballot, missed that game. Well, I don't think he's coming back this week either. So, like, I think he went on IR, actually. I think he did. No, he didn't go on IR, but I don't think he's coming back this week. So, yeah, I'm going to go with DK, flex him over CMC. And then I'll put Taysom in at tight end over Njoku. You know, I had a real come to Jesus moment last night when I got tons of questions about Taysom. And listen, it's not that I'm not against Taysom. Like, I like Taysom the player. The thing I had to come to Jesus to was like, he's so hard to rank in fantasy because he gets volume from so many different places. Right? Like, that's the best way I could put it, is he's so difficult to rank. But he's a great play. So yeah, that's how I would order the team. Appreciate the super chat. Nicholas Bond was up next. Appreciate the super chat. Half PPR, quarterback Nix or Darnold, and pick one, wide receiver and one flex. Jonnu starting McBride already. Okay, makes sense. MVS, Thielen, B-Rob Jr., Nabers, Pollard, thanks. So the quarterback I'd go with is Bo. I just think the way that Bo is playing right now is absolutely unbelievable. Like, he is playing top tier football, man. Top tier. So I'd go Bo over Darnold. Because I also do think this, like, Cardinals are so hot and cold, but they're capable defensively of making teams throw fits. Just ask the 49ers about that. Now, the 49ers are having a bad year. The Vikings are not. But I'll go with Bo over Darnold. One wide receiver, one flex. I'll go Nabers 100% at the wide receiver spot. And then at flex, I'll go with Pollard over Thielen and MVS. And I'll do it over B-Rob because of the fact... Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, we're factoring in Jonnu. It's between Pollard and Jonnu. Brian Robinson, just with the injury, scares me too much. Like, I get it. The matchup is okay. I don't like that he's injured right now dealing with this. Like, it just does not feel good when I've got an option with Pollard, who on one hand, with Tajay, not as good. But on the other hand, if he doesn't have Pollard, or if he doesn't have Tajay Spears definitely takes away tons of volume. So he was limited in practice yesterday. I guess we'll see what he does today in practice. I'll tell you like this. The good thing is that they're both playing. That's not good, actually. Jonnu's playing tonight. You know, the problem is since Jonnu's playing today, the problem becomes if Jonnu's in your flex, right? So you'd have to go in your flex. The problem with Jonnu is that if he busts, then it's going to be a problem and he's going to clog up your flex. What we need to do here is you need to put Jonnu in at tight end and put McBride in the flex because McBride doesn't play till Sunday. So if Jonnu has a bad game at tight end, like he won't be clogging up your flex spot. That will be definitely a problem. So just move Jonnu into the tight end spot and move McBride into the flex, and then I would personally go ahead and play Nabers at the other wide receiver. So I would go Bo at quarterback, I would go Nabers at wide receiver, and I would go with Jonnu at flex, but I would move Jonnu to tight end and move McBride into the flex, just so you can get some flexibility there. Appreciate the super chat. R-Jag, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Will Breece Hall play? Pivots are Tracy or Braylon Allen. Yeah, I'm actually dealing with the same exact thing in a dynasty league. So here's what I've opted to do. I'll tell you from my perspective. Right now, I don't like it. If I had to guess, I don't think Breece Hall is going to play. Just the language from the quarterback, the fact that he is coming off a bye week and didn't practice yesterday, that does not signal good signs. The language from the coach yesterday was also not a positive as well. So the problem becomes, okay, Breece, according to the coach, is like they're hopeful he plays. And the problem, again, is that they're coming out of a bye week and he couldn't even practice. Like, that's not a good sign. So I doubt he's going to play. And here's what I've elected to do personally. As much as I like Tyrone Tracy this week, I don't like him enough to just like gamble and play him just in case Breece plays. Right? Because I like Breece better this week if he plays. Now, the good thing is you have Braylon Allen. So that gives me the flexibility because Tracy and Braylon are close in my rankings this week. So I would just rather just kind of wait and see with Breece. And if you can fit in Tracy in a different part of your lineup, because I do like playing Tracy this week, but just not with this type of situation. I would just go ahead and wait that one out and see if Breece plays, and then you can play Braylon if he doesn't play. Appreciate the super chat. All right, we got a speed race through a couple more questions. We're coming up on the edge here with the Lions game. Richard Cranium, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Considering DJ Moore and Tyreek Hill a wide receiver, looking at flex, Shakir or Rashad White, Debo, Jane Reed, and Vele on the bench too. What's the best combo? Full PPR, happy T. Happy Thanksgiving. So we're looking at Shakir, Rashad White, Debo, Jaden, and Vele. Well, I wouldn't play Debo. I wouldn't play Vele over those options. I would play... People are going to think I'm nuts, but I would play Jaden Reed over Khalil Shakir. I would. I must have like a thing for Jaden Reed, because I think that Jaden Reed is he's just the thing with Jaden Reed is he's always capable of hitting massive games, and the good thing about Jaden is he's a Chicago kid. Like, this weather is suited for him tonight. Now, the question I've had for weeks now is, like, how healthy is he really? That's my question with Jaden. But over Shakir this week, Shakir is dealing with a snowy game, and Rashad White is potentially losing volume this week. Not to irrelevancy, but he will lose volume for sure. So I just think if it's me, I'm playing Jaden, and I would probably play Rashad White over Khalil Shakir. So for me, here's my rankings. For me personally, gut call, I'm going Jaden over Khalil Shakir. I will also go Rashad White over Khalil Shakir because of the snowy game that Shakir is going to play in Buffalo this week. That's, I think, the best combo in a full PPR format. I get it, Shakir makes sense in a full PPR, but this game is going to be really snowy. So I think it's more of a James Cook game than anything else. So I would personally go with Jaden Reed. Appreciate the super chat. Poe, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Jonathan Taylor, Pollard, Hubbard, or Montgomery, sit one. I will go ahead and sit. I'll sit Pollard this week because I'm not sitting Chuba. I'm not sitting Monty. Jonathan Taylor, I think, has a good matchup this week. I think he does. Tajay, I'm playing this like I think Tajay's going to come back this week. And with Tajay in the lineup, there's just a simple reality that Pollard's not the same. It's just not the same with Tony Pollard whenever Tajay plays. So I'll sit Pollard because I think Jonathan Taylor will have a decent game against the Patriots. He's the one that's on the bubble to me, not Chuba Hubbard. Definitely played Chuba and Montgomery, so I'll go ahead and sit Pollard. Appreciate the super chat. Steve512. Appreciate the super chat. Happy Thanksgiving, go Lions. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, man. Always good to see you in here, Steve. And go Lions indeed. I'm a Steelers fan, but I like rooting for the Lions. Listen, I'm a big Dan Campbell guy. I really like Dan Campbell. That guy, I knew I liked him the moment that I saw his intro press conference when he said he was going to bite some kneecaps. And the squares in the traditional corporate media were like, oh, he's so not coach-like. Oh, he's just a meathead. It's like, yeah, dude, that's how you win a freaking football game. Get out of here and go, like, bury your face in a book. Some of those guys, you just kind of want to give them a swirly in the toilet in the media, I swear. Appreciate the super chat. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Young Rob 1010. Appreciate the super chat. Waddle or Jamo, who you playing? I will go ahead and play Jamo. I have more confidence in him than I do with Jalen Waddle and just the collective Dolphins team tonight. I'll go with Jamo. Because realistically, like he's getting better upside and better volume on a weekly basis than Jalen Waddle. I get it. Last week, like, makes people want to play Jalen. Makes me want to play him. I ranked him inside the top 30 again this week. But at the same time, like, Waddle, I've made it clear my issues with this Dolphins matchup. I think it's going to be a bad one. I think they're going to really struggle offensively tonight. That's why the Packers are my number one defense. And again, I'll reiterate this from last night. If the Packers end up having a good game defensively tonight, you will hear me gloat about this one. Go follow me on X if you're not following me already. Just look me up, Football Fanalysts Network. You will see. You'll see me gloat on there. And I don't use X very much. But if the Packers play well tonight, I'm gloating about this one because I've gotten a lot of flack for that ranking. Appreciate the super chat. RM Laughlin, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. All right, these are going to be our last couple questions because we're pushing it. Half PPR start Laporta or Andrews? Waddle or Mondre? Andrews over Laporta for sure. Yeah, Laporta just, I can't trust him. And the good thing with Andrews is like it seems to be kind of like evening back out in his favor. You know, he's getting touchdown like over the past since week 6. 3, 4, 5, 6 touchdowns 6 weeks since week 6. So basically he's averaging like a touchdown, almost a touchdown per game. Things are evening out for him. Laporta I can't trust at all. Waddle or Ramondre? I'll go Ramondre this week. Yeah, I think Ramondre has a more stable workload incoming. His matchup is also really good. Versus the Indianapolis Colts. So, yeah, Mondre makes a lot of sense to me. Over Jalen Waddle. I've just got a Jalen Waddle issue for sure. Not a Jalen Waddle issue. I've got a Tua issue in cold games. And I don't think that this team is going to play particularly well. So, yeah, I'll go Mondre over Waddle, and I'll go I'll go Andrews over Laporta. Appreciate the super chat. AP, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Flex Tracy or Nabers in PPR with Lockett Helm? Yeah, I mean, they're both great options this week. I'm leaning Nabers. I have a feeling he's going to have a really big day today. I really do. And it doesn't always make sense to play him over somebody like, you know, for example, like I wouldn't play him over Terry McLaurin. But like in a lot of situations, I'm looking for ways to play Malik Nabers this week. So to me, I think it makes sense to play him over Tracy, who has been good. And he's been one of their lone bright spots. I just have a gut feeling Nabers is going to go off today. I really do. So I'm going with Nabers over Tracy this week. Because Locke, I've been saying it. I said it last night. I think Locke is the best quarterback that Nabers will play with in this entire calendar year. Mark my words. I guess discluding Jaden Daniels when he played with him in the in their bowl game last year at the beginning of 2024. I guess excluding that, this football season, it's the best quarterback he'll play with. So I'll go Nabers. Appreciate the super chat. All right, I'm going to speed race through a couple questions at the top. If you have a super chat question, that'll hop you in the line. But we're going to speed race through a couple different questions right now. Super chats do get your question answered immediately. But I'm going to go from top to bottom. Big fella, full PPR. Flex McLaurin or Tracy? I'll go McLaurin over Tracy. Rad Mannix Armin. Hi, Laporta or Hunter Henry from Hungary? I'll go Hunter Henry over Laporta. Toby Shriver, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Hey, man, should I run Odunze? I have CD, Reed, and Drake London, and Quentin Johnson have PPR. Well, how many flex spots, like how many guys out of those can you play? Because to me, my order goes like this. I'd go I'd go Drake London, I'd go CD, and then I would go Reed over Odunze. But I would go Odunze over Quentin Johnston. So it depends on how many you can play. Because Odunze is my fourth option. If you can start two of those wide receivers and then flex two, or you have three wide receivers and you can flex one, then Odunze is the guy I would go with in the fourth spot. But I'm not playing him over Jaden Reed. I'm just not. I think this matchup is going to suck for Bears. I think Bears receivers will disappoint today. I do. Not because they're bad all of a sudden, and not because the Lions are like experts against wide receivers in fantasy, but because I expect the Lions to give Caleb a hellish day today. So it really comes down to how many of those can you play? Because Odunze is my fourth option behind London, CD, and Jaden Reed. But I would play him over Quentin. Appreciate the super chat. Trone Force, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. One wide receiver and one flex. PPR. McLaurin, JSN, Monty, Mooney, and Waddle. I would go with McLaurin at wide receiver, and then those are good flex options. It's not an easy choice. I'll tell you this: the only reason I'm going to go with JSN over Monty this week is because I believe that the injury may have a little effect. Because I just think back to last week, Dave Montgomery after the game said, I could have came back and played versus the Colts, but Dan Campbell sat me down and he was basically like, hey, listen, we've got bigger fish to fry. We don't want you, overworking yourself. And I think at some point today, they may just be working over the Bears. And so, I think it may apply to today as well. So, I just don't think that he's going to be... I just don't think he's going to be, ultra important today as he usually is. I think he'll get a rushing touchdown, but I think just the way Jack Smith-Njigba's been playing lately, I think he's got higher upside. And a relatively safe floor as well. I think he's crossed into very safe floor territory. So I'm going to go with JSN over Monty in the flex. Appreciate the super chat. Michael Merowitz, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Tua or Love? 3 wide receivers. Evans, Terry, DJ, or Jennings. Love over Tua 100%. Tua is going to struggle tonight, guys. He will struggle mightily in brutally cold weather. It's a fact. So Love over Tua, 3 wide receivers, Evans, Terry, DJ, or Jennings. You have CD as well, okay. Terry, CD, and Evans. DJ, again, I've got issues with the matchup versus the Lions, and I've also got issues with Jennings without Brock Purdy. Appreciate the super chat. Michael Merowitz. Troy Babs, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Happy Turkey Day. Texans or Cowboys defense? I'll go Texans defense, yeah. They're both fantastic plays, I think, this week, but the Texans are actually they've been a long-standing good defense in fantasy, where the Cowboys, it's still new, right? So, they could easily, the way their season's going, it could easily go back to what it has been, but the Giants, I like the Cowboys this week, but not as much as I like the Texans. The Jags are, even with Trevor Lawrence, it doesn't matter to me because Lawrence is still turnover prone. And just that team is such a cultural disaster right now. The Texans, it's a get-right game. I think they're going to brutalize the Jags. I'll go Texans defense. Appreciate the super chat. And then we'll end it with Toby Shriver. Appreciate the super chat. I have Jonnu Smith in flex and McBride as tight end. Over Reed. I would probably do the same. Yeah, I think I would do the same. I like Jaden. Not over everybody. Jaden makes sense in certain cases where you need a big upside play and your other options are like unstable. Jonnu is equally as high upside, I would say, right now, and I do think that he's been a little bit more stable than Jaden has. So I think I would do the exact same thing. I would go Jonnu over Jaden. Appreciate the super chat. All right, we'll end it on Ron Villanueva. Appreciate the super chat. Waiting for your question. Let me see if I can find it, if you put it in above. Ron, where are you? I have not seen Ron's question yet. Oh, here we go. Flex advice. Playing for the top spot in the playoffs. Tracy or go for broke with MVS. Or McNichols if B-Rob is out. Yeah, I think for me, it's not worth going with MVS. Like, because Tracy to me provides just the same amount of ceiling with better floor. Like, this week against the Cowboys, the matchup is awesome. I think they will be more competitive with Drew Lock. And so I do think that Tracy will come out and have a pretty good game. Whereas with MVS, like you are going for broke. Like you were right about saying going for broke because that's exactly what you will be doing. But I think it's not worth it when you've got a guy I think has just as high of a ceiling this week, in particular against the Cowboys, and a guy who has a safer floor. So I would just go with Tracy, and I would go with Tracy over McNichols as well. I would just go with Tracy personally. Appreciate the super chat, Ron Villanueva. All right, we'll end it on Nate Dogg. Appreciate the super chat. Pick 2 running backs. Williams, JT, Hubbard, Brown. Pick 2 wide receivers. Reed, JSN, Flowers, McConkey, or Cooper. Then pick 2 for flex, include Njoku. All right, Nate Dogg, I'm going to give you a little bit of a sped-up answer since we're right here on the line. Sorry I'm late. No worries, man. Let me just speed through these. Okay, so pick 2 running backs. Williams, JT, Hubbard, and Brown. I'll go with Hubbard and I'll go with Brown. Unless that's Kyron Williams. If it's Kyron Williams, I'll go Kyron and Chase Brown. And then I will go with, if it's Javonte, I'll go with Hubbard and Chase Brown. Pick two wide receivers. Reed, JSN, Flowers, McConkey, or Cooper. I will go with Jackson Smith-Njigba and Zay Flowers. Then pick 2 for flex, including Njoku. I would go Chuba in one of the flex spots. And then I would go with... That's tough. I think I'd go with Jonathan Taylor over Njoku this week. I think Jonathan Taylor's going to have a pretty good game. It's against the Patriots. I think they will beat the Patriots ultimately, and I think they will use him to run down clock. And again, like, he's had a couple tough matchups, and ultimately, like, my problem with it is crystal clear. It's touchdown related because he gets touchdowns vultured at the goal line now. But in this kind of matchup, I think I like him better than a tight end. So I'll go with him. So yeah, I'll go Hubbard and Brown. Okay, so it's not Kyron. I'll go Hubbard and Brown at running back. I'll go JSN and Flowers at wide receiver. And then at flex, I'll go with Jonathan Taylor. And then I will go with... I'll go with Njoku at the other flex. Appreciate the super chat. All right, now the last one. Appreciate the super chat, Red Evil. Zay Flowers or Devontae Adams and DJ Moore or Jaden Reed? I'll go Zay over Devontae, and I will go with Jaden over DJ, personally. I think Detroit's going to smother them today. I do. Zay over Devontae and Jaden over DJ is exactly what I would personally do. And I would expand on it, but we are right on the line. That game is basically starting right now. So thank y'all for being here today. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you and to all your families as well. Enjoy y'all's days. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's enjoy football. Let's enjoy friends. Let's enjoy family. And let's enjoy some food. Love you guys.